Hey guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk for a second about Lauren the Mortician and this whole idea of the Streisand effect on social media. I think that what's going on with her is a really good example of this, but I think that it also applies to a lot of the stuff that we see unfolding. And I had some thoughts, so I'm going to share. If you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so let's talk about the Streisand effect and how it applies to social media, influencers, creators. And specifically, I want to talk about Lauren the Mortician because just a couple of days ago, I went over the defamation lawsuit that she and her attorney, Jeanette Braun, are filing against Caffeinated Kitty, the Do We Know Them podcast, and Becca Day. And in that, or in those documents, we see Lauren's full legal name, where she is supposed to be a resident of, and the same applies to the other creators as well. And it's not so much that Lauren was super secretive about that stuff, but just the fact that this is going as far as it's going now, it's opening this whole can of worms where all of this information that didn't need to be made public is going to be made public because they decided to just, instead of not going this route, they took the bull by the horns, so to speak, and think that they have a lawsuit that is going to hold up in court. And before we get into the Streisand effect itself, I want to give a little shout out, not that he needs it, but Runkle of the Bailey has a channel here on YouTube, and he does legal commentary. I actually found him during the Depp Heard trial, and I found him because he jumped into a live stream with Emily D. Baker, and they were chatting for a few minutes because he was actually attending the trial in person and, kind of giving day-to-day updates. Once the day was wrapped, he would give updates to his followers. So I found him that way, but he did an absolutely phenomenal video about the Lauren the Mortician defamation lawsuit, and he had a group of really good takeaways, and I think that he was very fair, he was unbiased, and he spoke from the seat of a lawyer, because that is exactly who he is. So he's not only somebody who is opinionated, but also obviously has the knowledge and insight to be able to break down things from a legal perspective, because of the things that he has been involved in himself, as well as taken in from colleagues. He did a really amazing video, and like I said, his main takeaway from it was that this lawsuit is not going to work in Lauren and Jeanette's favor, which I think that we all kind of had that opinion, but to hear it confirmed from somebody who is so highly regarded and intelligent was great. So I will link his video in my description box in case you guys are curious. It is a longer one, but it's really good. And if you're interested in following this story, it will be it would be something good to play in the background. I know that I was like doing laundry and some stuff around the house, and I just let it play. So really like his channel and wanted to pop that in this video.
Now, I'm just going to say, when somebody does a call out video and accuses you of something you don't like, you may consider a defamation action. That's always a possibility. You can consider that, but you should also consider not doing that. This is one of the most basic elements of this, which is that by suing, you explode the issue. And you also open the door for all sorts of people, like myself, to report on the allegations. Because I don't know if she's a TERF or not. I haven't watched a single one of her videos. I haven't gone through any of her content. But certainly, I now know that she's been alleged to be a TERF. So we're going to hear a lot more about that, because when famous people sue each other, that tends to make noise. This is the kind of consideration that a lawyer should be thinking about when they decide whether or not they want to start filing lawsuits. We're going to talk about whether or not there was some good judgment used on this, because that's going to be an issue. So, along with the video, she announced that she compiled a list of links to posts that Ms. Propson liked.
Now let's get on with the Streisand effect. There are so many of these influencers, and I've talked about this a lot lately, how they want to jump up and down and say, I don't care about the haters, you guys don't matter, you know, you're just so bored, keyboard warriors. And while I do agree that there are some people out there that probably are really bored and maybe they don't necessarily operate very well in the digital space, there are also just a lot of people who don't like you. They disagree with you. And whether or not you think that their opinion is correct or not, it's their opinion to have. They are allowed to say, I watched one of his videos and I think that he's, a stupid moron, and I'm going to say that he's a stupid moron. That is somebody's opinion. And so many times these influencers pay attention to these little minuscule arguments that people have that aren't really that big of a deal. It's just an opinion. And they want to respond to these people. And what it ends up doing is people dig and they dig and they dig. And there is more information that is exposed by the influencer giving this small, minuscule comment the time of day. So I'm going to read the literal definition of the Streisand effect. It says, it's an unintended consequence of attempts to hide, remove, or censor information, where the effort instead backfires by increasing awareness of that information. It is named after the American singer and actress Barbra Streisand, whose attempt to suppress the California Coastal Records Project photograph of her clifftop residence in Malibu, California, taken to document the California coastal erosion, inadvertently drew far greater attention to the previously obscure photograph in 2003. Attempts to suppress information are often made through cease and desist letters, but instead of being suppressed, the information sometimes receives extensive publicity, as well as the creation of media such as videos and spoof songs, which can be mirrored on the internet or distributed on the files sharing networks. In addition, seeking or obtaining an injunction to prohibit something from being published or to remove something that is already published can lead to increased publicity of the published work. Also, a really interesting article that I had saved. It comes from tvtropes.org. Of course, I will link it in my description box in case you guys want to read it in its entirety. But it says here, something horribly embarrassing or personal about you has been released. Anything from a tape to an unflattering photograph to the nickname you had when you were younger, and you want to keep it out of the public eye, so you do whatever it takes to make it go away. Lawsuits, cease and desist orders, DMCA takedowns, whatever you have at hand, but it backfires. The efforts to censor the information became public, and people who would otherwise be uninterested are now dying to know what all the commotion is about. Whatever you were trying to remove from the internet gets mirrored and copied to hundreds of other sites. The tape goes viral. The nicknames become national talk show fodder. The unflattering picture ends up in the newspaper. In other words, your fear that everyone would see the dirt on you is the very thing that caused everyone to look at it. And the harder you try to fight it, the more popular it becomes, and you learn the hard way that you probably should have just ignored it and acted like it was no big deal. Psychologists have done studies and found that these subjects' desires for any kind of material increased when they were told that it was censored. The old forbidden fruit principle in action. So I think that that whole idea is really interesting, because there are people who I've seen in my own comment section saying, I never knew who Lauren the Mortician was until all of this erupted on social media, and you made a video about it, or maybe they are on TikTok and they saw Becca Day talking about it, or somebody else who's giving a response or commentary to this entire kind of catastrophe that has blown up. And when somebody finds out about you because you're trying to silence critics, or you are the copyright strike system, trying to silence people's opinions about you. What a way to be discovered. You know, most of these people make content because they want, they want people to remember them for the content that they made, not the fact that they were misusing a legal system in order to silence critics. I think the whole idea is really interesting, and because of the Lore and the Mortician stuff, I wanted to talk about it today. Did you guys hear about the Streisand effect? Like, how do you feel about this? Do you feel like it's valid? Does it make sense? Or is it just kind of one of those things that people say that doesn't really reconcile? Because for me, I think that it makes a lot of sense. And I think that if you're going to be one of those people who is on social media and you're, you know, even if you start your channel not intending to become a public figure, but then you become a public figure because your channel grows, you have to just realize, like I said in a recent video, you cannot control whether or not somebody likes you. As long as you are playing within the bounds, that sounds like a personal problem. I have recognized many times before that there are people that simply don't like me, and that is on them to figure out. I know for me, I am playing by the rules, and my content, I'm proud to stand on my content, and if and when I've made a mistake, I will address it. But I'm here to have conversations. No matter if people agree, disagree, or just don't care, I'm going to always, make content for anyone who's interested. So that's it on the Streisand effect and how it ties in with Lore and the Mortician. For now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.